An update on the SVC Cobra. What's done, what needs to be done, and maybe what needs to be changed or updated. So the dash, while all the gauges are in and everything, it has not been finished. I keep going back and forth whether or not I want to maybe put wood veneer on there, maybe carbon fiber, or paint it the same color of the body, or maybe even do a full wood dash. I've got some walnut up here, some maple, some padauk, purple heart, because I do a lot of woodworking. And then I also have some oak that I've milled here on my property that would maybe potentially look good. Anyway, so I've still got to figure that out. I've got to figure out what I want to do for the dash. For right now, it's functional, it works. And I think I mentioned this in the past, SVC will actually cut it out and they'll put a vinyl on there for you. So if you're looking for that traditional black covered look, they'll do that. And so I specifically asked them not to. And I think that was maybe a reduced cost for them not to cut it in, to cut all the holes out. I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember. It might not have been. Also, the dash basically goes straight across underneath, and I built a custom fiberglass box, or fiberglass reinforced plastic, and then I fiberglassed over it, box that goes in between the trans tunnel and the dash they provided. I didn't really like how it turned out, so I think I'm going to redo that. I don't know when. Right now, again, I've been just driving it and enjoying it, so I haven't had a chance to do that. And if I do, depending on what that looks like, I'll have a radio in there. I did buy a marine radio. In fact, I think you can see right there, a Boss marine radio, and I think it came with 6-inch speakers, which I wasn't terribly thrilled about. Those are a little too big to fit in between the seats there effectively. So I think I'm gonna go with a different setup there. I've got a small boat that doesn't have any sort of radio system in it, so I can easily just put this in there and just absorb or move that cost to another project. So anyway, and I might put, a typical JVC Alpine head unit in there and a couple small speakers and maybe a small sub in the trunk or something. But I know a lot of people are like, why would you go through that effort? I like having music when I'm driving. And because, and this is a good segue, because my exhaust drops out the back, it's a little quieter in here. It's actually pretty reasonable. You can have a conversation. It's a little hard to hear. The wind noise is actually almost louder than the exhaust is, which, yeah. So, and in the dash, there'll be some 12-volt connections to hook up, to charge your phone, and then also a small place to be able to set a couple of phones like you have in a lot of modern cars. Exhaust. On the exhaust right now is complete. It does go out the back, but it stops right at the fuel tank. It doesn't go all the way out the back. So at some point, I do need to take that into an exhaust shop. I'm gonna have them pull it up a little tighter into the car, and then extend it all the way out to drop out the back, the way that the old street Cobras did. So. The body, there's still some work to do on the body. The door caps are pretty good. There's a couple places that I still need to finish that up. I was racing against the clock to get this primed so I can get it to the car show. So I got it good enough for the time being. And I think one side of the door is done, or one door is done, and then the other side still needs some work to get it there. But it looks pretty good though. And then the trunk and the hood, there's still a lot of work to do on either of those. The louvers, they need to be done. The wheel wells all need to be done. The front openings are pretty darn close, but they're not perfect yet, so I have to do those. And then once I paint this right now, again, it's an epoxy primer, so it's sealed pretty good right now. Once I get around to finishing up the bodywork and get it painted, I'll have I've got the oval bumpers that'll go on, plus the bumperettes, the chrome vertical bumpers, and then it's got the front air dam, or whatever those are called, the little screens that go in the small openings in the front here by the radiator. I've been toying with doing an oil cooler down the road, but it's just at 180, doesn't get any hotter than that. I'm not racing it or anything right now, I'm just taking it out for drives. So if I ever decided to do anything more than just drive it around, or if I saw that I was struggling to keep it cool, then I would go ahead and do that. But because of how SVC did this particular car with this engine package, which I got through them, which is a Blueprint 347 with a Tremec TKX, it fits really well. And the radiator mount mounts vertical, so the air goes straight through it instead of kind of at an angle like most of them do. So it doesn't want to go up and over. And I don't even have the and I know a lot of them you can put in the aluminum kind of surround inside the radiator opening here, so that it forces the air through the radiator better. But again, I haven't had any issues yet with overheating, so I'm not overly concerned about that. Speaking of heating, the heater, where I have it positioned, because I wanted it in the center instead of offset. I don't remember if the instructions said where to put it. I just kind of found a good place to put it. It rubs a little bit with the air cleaner, and eventually that's going to bust through that hose. So I've got an angled, heavy-duty angled hose that I found that will work. So I just need to replace that out. That's just, at some point I need to do that and then re-burp it. Once I replace that. So speaking of heater, I also need to do the heater ducts. I have not done those yet. I was a little confused with what they provided me. Didn't really fit inside of there, so there's a little bit of trimming that I need to do, either to the heater ducts that they gave me, or there's some fiberglass straps that they put in to hold the body to kind of a little subframe that's inside the cockpit area. So I don't know if that was just for mine or for everybody's, but I'll need to deal with that. So if you're building one of these, just know that I'm going through that. So anyway, and it could be that I'm just a goob and don't fully understand how they put them in. Because I haven't installed them yet, I haven't done any recording of videos on that, but once I get around to that, I'll share that out. Interior. Most of the interior needs to be done still. So I don't have the pad or the carpets in. I don't have the door lines in. Shell Valley did provide those. I just haven't put them in yet. One of the challenges that I'm having right now is I do have about 400 miles on this, but the Silomat or Dynamat, whatever you want to call it, gets a little sticky when it gets really hot under my heels from where I'm driving. So I need to cut a piece of carpet out. The underside of my house, I have a full kind of almost a headstanding, or well, 3/4 head standing crawl space, and they've just got tons and tons of carpet that they pulled out from the house years ago when they replaced it. So I'll just go cut some carpet out from underneath there and throw it in there for now, so it doesn't rub on both the passenger and driver side. The passenger mirror, it's completely worthless, and I know this. I remember reading about it. I was like, well, I'll see if maybe my experience is a little different. It was not. It's not really. It doesn't really do anything for me. So. I'll just leave it there for now. I'm glad I didn't put it in the body, and I mounted it. I mounted it on the windshield like this one did with my custom mount. I just got some thick aluminum plate, and I made my own mounts. I know there's a company out there that makes these, and they charge about $100. The aluminum plate was, I think, $12, and I cut it out, sanded it down, put it on the polisher, polished it up. It looks great. Just kind of manufactured it myself. Looks great for me. Your mileage may vary. So maybe down the road, if it ever becomes a problem, I'll take it out of there. But for now, it'll just stay there, but it just doesn't do much for me. And again, I heard that was kind of the deal. And I think the radots are a little bigger and give a little better view. So if that ever becomes a concern for mine, then I'll upgrade the mirrors. But for right now, with my rear view mirror being mounted up high and the driver being up here as well, I can see pretty well around me, and then I can look over my right shoulder. If I ever start driving with a helmet or something, that might change, but for now it doesn't. So anyway, let's see, wiring. All the wiring under the dash is a huge mess right now. They're in each of their own looms, but I don't have anything really tied up permanently. So right now it's a big old mess in there. And so when I go to put everything back permanently in here, after the body work is done, I will get that all cleaned up. And I will also get a battery shutoff put in place at some point. So I haven't decided where to put that yet. Since the battery is up here in the front and not in the back, it makes it a little easier. There's a shorter run for it, and I've got a big old fuse right here as well, or right on the firewall before it goes inside the car to the wiring. I've got all the badging to do, so I need to figure out or get all those drilled before I go do paint. So after I get the body really completely done, I'll get all the badges set, drill the holes through and everything. And that way I don't have to be drilling through fresh paint. Don't really want to do that in case I make a mistake. It's nice to have room. Parking brake. So originally it was, if I hit a hard bump, and I was under acceleration. I was actually hitting the parking brake brackets because of where I put them with the drive shaft, which wasn't great. And so I actually bent those pretty good. So I created a new bracket, sprayed it down with the enamel paint, and moved it. And now it's no longer an issue. I'm not hitting that anymore. But I've also got the suspension tuned in a little better as well. So I'm no longer hitting the exhaust on the ground. I'm no longer hitting that parking brake with the drive shaft, which was very concerning. And I only did it a few times, but that's a few times too many in my opinion. Let's see here. The parking brake also is really tight. I've got it dialed in really well so that it's got just the smallest amount of drag. Like you can just barely feel it. But I also need to, when I go to pull it, engage it, I get it maybe a third of the way, and it is just as far as you can pull it. And it does stop it, but it's just like, it's really hard to get it to that point. It would be nice maybe if I had some mechanical leverage to make it so I could pull it further. There's a lot more throw on that emergency brake to be able to do that. So I need to figure that out, or maybe down the road I'll replace it with the Willwood push button one. We'll see. Time will tell. Alignment. I needed an alignment. When I get above 65, it does have a shimmy on it, and that was no surprise. I knew from the get-go that I would need an alignment. I mean, you're building a car. Wipers. I released a video on that a couple weeks ago now. Got the wipers in. That's been a learning experience. So the most recent issue I've had with that is the tubes. I got them too tight, where the tubes go into the little kind of, I don't know what you want to call those, whatever, the gear where the wiper actually attaches to. I tightened this too much, and it's actually binding a little bit on that cable that goes through, and it's causing issues, and it's actually caused it to jump out of the wiper motor. So I need to pull that apart, get that all out, get you some aluminum tube, don't cinch it down, put it all back in again for the third or fourth time, and that'll be good. Let's see, what else needs to be done? Like I mentioned, I got the suspension pretty much all tuned in. I'd love to get it weighed to find out what it is and where my four-wheel is at, to see if it's balanced well, but it does handle really well. Every time I take it out, I drive it a little bit more aggressively just to see. I was driving it pretty slow and conservative around curves and everything, just because you don't know how it's going to behave. But every time I take it out, I feel it a little better, So haven't really pushed it hard at all yet, but it's getting there. And then soft top, hard top. Do we want to do one? Do we not? So there's a company up in Portland, that I think it's ARE maybe, that has made some hard tops for some of the replicas out there. They have not made one for Shell Valley. When I reached out to them last year, they said, hey, if I would be willing to take this up there and drop it off, they would splash this and have that be an offering for them. They would make a mold and give me one. Or not give me, I would have to pay for it, obviously, and so they gave me a cost estimate. I'm sure I need to get that updated because prices have changed since then on materials. So I may still do that, maybe not. If I do that, there are options. They do have options for windows as well. So that would make it so that, if I ever wanted to drive this on colder days, I could. Or maybe I want to take it on longer drives. I don't know that I want to do that, but still an option. Soft top I think would be nicer, but I do need to get some sort of cover for this because I can't really take this anywhere overnight right now because I don't have a way to secure it or put any sort of cover over this to keep dust out, to keep animals out, looky-loos, easy grabs, So I think that's about it of what where I'm at right now. I think I mentioned I have almost 400 miles on here. It's driving great. It's so much fun. I know there's been some questions, a few different folks have asked kind of what I put into it. The reality is go to their website, go to Shell Valley's website, go put together the complete kit. This is the complete kit. I also ordered the 347 with the Tremec TKX through them. The only things I really added that added cost were the wheels. So these are the Hallebrand 17s with the Nitto GTs on there. Great wheels and tires combo, right? It doesn't have the classic look, because it's a 17-inch wheel. And then I didn't really do a whole lot of other upgrades than that. So it's pretty easy to go out there and see what you can do for that. And so I know if you want them to do a bunch of work, you're gonna pay for their time, right? Because I've got a lot of time in this already. I don't know, maybe 100 hours, a couple hundred hours already into this. The bodywork alone, I have probably over 100 hours, and the wiring, it was getting close to that. And then to get to the point where I needed to do body work really was pretty quick. I think I was hampered mostly by the fact that I wasn't able to use my left shoulder for a few months very much. So anyway, I think that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions. I know this is a little longer, maybe a little more boring, but for those of you who are just curious about the process and where I'm at, here you go. Anyway, thanks. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.